Thank you and welcome back. Just to remind you, you can reach us on @Bernard_sports, @Wilfred_Bungei, and @Keshege_sports. We are joined by a very important gentleman. He is the Deputy President of the Kenya Volleyball Federation, Mr. Charles Nyaberi. Karibu sana, Charles.
Thank you, Ken.
Deputy President.
Thank you.
He corrected me. He's not a Vice President. He's the Deputy President, and behind him there are two Vice Presidents. So good. Bwana Nyaberi, first of all, sincere condolences on behalf of the Scoreboard Group for the loss of Mr. Waithaka, your President.
Yeah.
How is that going?
It was a big shock and a real big blow to Kenya Volleyball Federation. The abrupt death of our President Waithaka Kioni, the morning of 9th Sunday, on Sunday morning at about 2 a.m., took all of us by surprise, and also it left a gap that we really have to struggle very hard to fill. Mr. Kioni has been synonymous with the leadership and growth of volleyball. He's been our president for like 4 terms now. He was first elected in 1998, and then he took a bit of leave in 2000, came back in 2006, was re-elected in 2010, re-elected again in 2016, and 2014, and then finally in 2018.
Okay.
He was just about to complete his last term. We are headed for an election anytime now. The federation, was making last touches.
How long are your terms?
4 years. 4 years, but you see, before the Sports Act came, just like for all the other federations, people could. You could get re-elected several times.
As many times
but
as
now
you
with the new Sports Act,
yes,
the position you're in, you can only get re-elected twice. Once. So you serve
two consecutive
terms.
2 consecutive terms. Okay, good. Now, why were your elections not held? Sorry. Because that should have been held in last year.
Yeah, they should have been held last year, but there was a bit of delay in the enlistment and enrollment and registration of clubs. We had a bit of an issue. We have that threshold whereby you have to have a minimum of 24 registered clubs to be allowed, not clubs, 24
branches.
Registered county branches.
County branches,
because
yes.
we are moving now from the provincial setup.
Yes.
We have moved down to the devolved units, yes. the counties, and we are in the process of registering them now. And we think in a week or two, we should be able to be through, and then we'll announce to Kenya when we're having the elections.
All right. Let's see if Bernard, can you hear me, Bernard? Bernard in Addis? Bernard.
Okay, maybe as we wait for it.
Yes.
I can add also.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Bernard, please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, because if you can, then I just wanted to pass my condolences, first of all, to the volleyball family, and then to ask Mr. Nyaberi, who has been the Vice President of volleyball, on how do you move from here? Because when a giant like Waithaka Kioni falls, then it affects a lot of other things. There is his position in the Olympic Committee, his position as President of the Kenya Volleyball Federation. There is talk about the elections having supposed to have been held last year, but now it looks like what has to be talked about more is succession now than even the election, because that void has to be filled now. So, Mr. Nyaberi, how do you proceed from here? Even though it's very sad to talk about it now, but again, there'll be no other time to be able to talk about it.
That is fine. What was happening is that before the sad demise of our President Waithaka Kioni, he had already made it very clear that he was not going to defend his position.
He was actually serving his last term constitutionally.
Yeah. He was serving his last term, and besides volleyball, He was also the second deputy president of National Olympic Committee of Kenya. He was also the deputy president stroke treasurer of the continental body Confederation of African Volleyball.
Oh.
He was also a commission member of the technical committee of FIVB. So there are several gaps which have, which will have to, which he left. But I want to say that he left an impeccable mark because he was the brainchild. I mean, Malkia Strikers, which is the undoubted continental champion.
Continental champions, yes. No
Yeah,
doubt about that. Undisputed.
He did a lot in getting it where it is. He did a lot in getting it to have visibility. He did a lot to make sure that they get that technical grounding that enabled them to easily win the African Games 4 years ago, and then also at the same time be the African representatives in the Olympics.
In the Olympics.
And teams don't just happen. Mr. Kioni led the committee to do a lot of marketing, and that's how we got on board the sponsors and also lots of support from the Kenya government through the sports fund, who funded a lot of our preparations.
Your preparations, yes.
Then there's also Mozart Bet, who came on board a year ago. And then also our international body, FIVB. The National Olympic Committee of Kenya also came in. And all these initiatives were, we pay tribute. We pay
to
tribute to him.
To the president, yeah.
And what is going to happen, what has been happening is that we diversified over the last few years because besides indoor volleyball, Kenya has also made a lot of inroads in beach volleyball.
Yes.
We managed to qualify for the World Championships in Italy. Kenya was represented there. Then Kenya won silver in the Africa Games, but went on to actually clinch the slot, the only slot in the World Championships. So
to represent Africa.
Yeah. Okay. So volleyball has grown in leaps and bounds under the leadership of Mr. Kioni.
Let's just get something from the Capitano here.
Bwana DB, first and foremost, especially from the sportsmen and women of this country, we condole with you. With the passing of the president. Yourself, you are known as the doyen, of volleyball, not only in Kenya, but in Africa.
Thank you.
What would you say that, with the leadership of the president and yourself, what is it that you can say that, you have achieved over the years that you have been there?
As a person or as a committee?
Well, as a person, that is why I say that. That's why I say that you are.
First of all, I must say that
and even before that, I appreciate. I'm happy to be able to host you this time around because I remember that in 2008, you were among the team that you took us to the Beijing Olympics.
That's right.
And it means a lot, especially for me.
Thank you. Actually, I have a long history in volleyball. I was a volleyball player myself in high school, Kisi School and Kakamega High School and Kenyatta University. I was actually the captain of my team. After that, I took over the St. Patrick's Iten volleyball team. When I went to work there, I was a head of games, and I took over the volleyball team and took it to 4 consecutive national gold medals. And then, of course, at national level. And that, of course, we had, of course, won the districts and provincial before that. St. Patrick's Iten was an exceptional team because some of my players, like Isaac Skunga, Sami Ruto, Francis Kiplagat, and the late Michael, they managed to get into the national team at that level.
Yes.
From there, I took over Kabarak High School as team, which was actually captained by the immediate past and Ndaragwa MP, Mr. Jeremiah Kioni.
Jeremiah Kioni, yes.
And for the first time, Iten was beaten by by a Rift Valley team. We beat them in the provincials, but we went on to the nationals, and we reached the finals together, and they just managed to beat our young Kabarak team 3-2. So I have that history. From there, I became provincial secretary. I've worked as national fixture secretary. I've worked as vice president in the past. I have worked as president of Kenya Volleyball Federation between 2001 and 2005.
Okay.
And then now I took a break and then came back in 2010.
Yes.
And I've had 2 terms as had 1 term as deputy president. Went away, then now I'm back again.
And now you're back again.
Now,
So obviously,
Ken,
But
before
I'm vying for president in the coming elections, and I hope to get that. The interesting thing there is that to show you how that Mr. Kioni and I actually were showing out of humility. It's like a change of musical chairs, kind of, because in 98 he was my president, I was his vice president. Then in 2001 I became president and vice president of Africa. You know, during that time,
yes,
when he had quit and he was, but because of his humility, he actually served now as chairman of Nairobi branch, which was a subset of
which
ours.
is a really small
And
thing
then now
compared to
this
the
time
national.
again, the tables have turned. He's been the president.
But Bonadipi, I want to cut you short just briefly. You mentioned about the themes, and especially when it comes to secondary schools, Kwatransa, Cheptil, all these are boys' schools. When it comes to secondary schools and the juniors, boys are doing very well. When it comes to the seniors, we are only seeing Malkia, representing the country, even during the Olympics. What happened to our men's volleyball?
What is actually happening? Kenya Volleyball Federation in the last few years, we are now working on revamping the men's standards, and we have what is really happening. One of the reasons why there is that discrepancy, or rather there is that disconnect and difference in performance, is that the men's competition in Africa is very high, especially in North Africa.
Yes.
Where they give priority to male participation because of their culture.
Yes, because of the culture.
And they are closer to Europe. They have resources.
Yes.
They have very good contact with Europe. They go over for training. They have exported very many individual players to Europe in European clubs. What we are doing also, we are emulating that. Right now, we are sending out as many players as we can. We have Abiud Chirichira and others, and there who have been out there. We have had male players going to Japan. There's Enoch Mogeni, the current captain, who is now in Japan, because we have realized that kind of exposure is what we need.
Yes.
So what we are saying is that we are not saying that the competition for our ladies is feeble, because they have formidable competition from countries like Cameroon, and they have also other countries in the north, Egypt. Then we have Tunisia, Algeria, Nigeria. All these are formidable teams, but there is the competition for men is stiffer. But we are now getting there, because for your information, last year during the Africa Cup of Nations in Rwanda, the men, even if they didn't win, in spite of not winning in the end, they set a record, because for the first time in history, we were able to beat Egypt.
Egypt, yes, I saw that.
3-2.
You beat Egypt, yes.
And,
that was a first.
And during these championships, the scouts spotted 7 of our players, and they've been attached in several. And this is a big plus for us, because when they come back and link up with the national team, then we have people drawing experiences and expertise from different backgrounds and clubs. So we are getting there. We are not yet there, but the Wafalme Stars, who are the national men's team,
yes,
they are as good as anybody else.
I want to ask about Malkia. Malkia has been a beacon of hope, has been like an icon of volleyball in this country and even for Africa. And they do very, very well in Africa. I remember, was it last year when they were, or is it the year before, when they were taken to Brazil?
Yeah,
Brazil for training, and then from Brazil they went to, was it to Kazakhstan or?
They went to Serbia.
They went to Serbia. So
then they went on now to the Netherlands for the World Championship.
Then they went to Netherlands for the World Championship.
That's right.
And they didn't do well at all.
I wouldn't say that, because you see, African teams at world level have been doing very badly.
So this is my question. Is it that we don't love, is it the facilities? Because when you see, when the team goes out there, obviously when you take them to Brazil and to Serbia, it's because they're going to get something that we don't have here, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you sacrifice that money and they go out there. Those facilities out there, have we not grown to the point that now we can also improve our facilities and you know, make them world class? So we also produce world class teams.
We have a lot of drawbacks, chief among them being facilities for training and competition. You know, volleyball is essentially an indoor game.
Yes.
In these other places, even at school level, people play indoors. But here, our access to the indoor facilities has been the biggest drawback, because Kasarani, which is the only standard one,
yes,
it's a lot of the times is priced out of reach for the.
Oh, you mean even as part of national team?
Even the national team, you have to pay for the facilities. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's the same one facility that we share with the other indoor games like basketball, handball, badminton.
How about the one at Nyayo Stadium?
Nyayo, no. Nyayo, there is a basketball gym, which the Kenya Basketball Federation have been very kind to allow us to use. But you see, we just convert. But even the clearance, like up there, is not standard. So Kasarani is the standard one. The teams, the clubs and the national teams have limited access. That is one of them. Two, a lot of the other players elsewhere are virtually full-time professional players. I mean, they don't do anything else. Ours have to divide their day between training
and work.
And work. Some have to work up to 5, then they have an hour or 2. Okay, that is one of the drawbacks. The other drawback is the fact that we've lacked resources for exposure, because international exposure is what pulls you up. Up till a few years ago, the African teams never ended anywhere in that they were at the tail end all the time when it came to international competitions, world championships, Olympic games. So if there are 24 teams, the African teams would take number 23 and 24. That's ours. But now, for the first time, after that very good exposure in Brazil, because
and Netherlands,
under Mr. Our late President Kioni's leadership, he took the initiative and we managed to sign a contract. It's actually magic. It's like an injection, the best thing that we've ever had. Volleyball empowerment program, which is still running, and we have already been assured by the Federation of International Volleyball that they are going to renew it. Under this scheme, we had Brazilian coaches who were paid by the international body. They came here and trained our team before the Olympics in Tokyo.
Yes.
And the teams did very well because, you know, we won a few sets here and there, and etc.
Yes,
then the same set of coaches, plus of course our 2 coaches, Paul Bitok and Munala, took the team through 3 months training in Brazil, and under the same volleyball empowerment program. From there, they went on to have another 10 days in Serbia. These 2 countries, Serbia were actually the champions of that particular tournament.
Yes.
Brazil is among the top 2 in the world.
Top, yes.
So when you train with the best, you are bound to improve your level. So that is why for the first time, we ended up number 18 out of 24. It has never happened before. Our ranking went up, and right there and then, 3 of our players were recruited into professional. Sharon Chumba is now in Turkey. Veronica is in Greece. Noella, who was the captain, the assistant captain, she's also out on professional pitch.
Bernard, can you hear us, Bernard? Bernard, can you? Okay, looks like we lost. Yeah, Bernard. Proceed. Yeah, Bernard, can you hear us? Do you have a question for Mr. Nyaberi? No, I think the link is just poor. Okay, La Capitano, you wanted to say
just
something?
one last bit also.
Yes.
You see, improving a team, team development has very many other aspects. So what has been happening also is that now we have trained a big pool of coaches and even referees to international level. We hosted level 1 and level 2 FIVB coaching courses last year, and we trained, through that we trained 36 coaches. So out of those, 16 are now level 2, which means, you know, they're among the top
best.
level.
And
so
are they able to go and ref in the international
So when they go down to their clubs,
yes,
and they are well equipped like that technically, then they will definitely, in a year or two, we'll see the results.
Yes,
the results will be that they will now bring up more competitive players.
Yes.
And this, of course, will inject power and standards into our national team.
Yeah, Bonadipi, just a very quick one. You know, you just mentioned that we have only one facility that can be able to host international matches, that is Kasarani. So in other words, you know, it looks like, because, you know, we had cabinet secretary some time back, and he said that, you know, as a country we want to push to host as many events as we can that are international, but it looks like, you know, Kenya may not actually be able to host any major championships when it comes to volleyball. And then the last one, you know, if you may just mention about the beach volleyball, you know, we discussed a few weeks ago, you know, here in our show, and we say that, you know, as a country we have got so many diverse beaches, you know, along the coastline. You know, that means, you know, we can be able to push for these kind of games.
That's actually a very good question, because, sorry, I forgot to mention that thankfully, the Armed Forces, Department of Defense, have put up a sports complex.
I was actually going to ask you about this
one of the conveniences there is a good indoor facility.
Yes.
Okay, it's just having last touches, but they have already allowed us access free of charge last week.
Wow.
When we were having the Paul Bitok International Championships, which unfortunately we had to suspend because our president died on the day we were meant to be having the finals. So we put that one off, and in his honor also we put off all the competitions.
Yes.
He's getting buried on 19th, 19th next week on Wednesday. Then after that, now we'll rearrange. But you see, what happens is that there is a bare minimum of international standard halls that you must have before you are allowed to host an African championships, or like the World Championship is out of question.
Thank you. Sorry, I have to cut you short, because if we continue, we are not going to have a chance to explore the fixtures happening this weekend.
Okay.
But we'll come back to you shortly.
Okay.
So the big event, of course, is the Boston Marathon on Monday. Are you a fan of athletics?
Yeah. I'm an internationally trained athletics coach. I was actually trained in Germany. We were classmates with Elizabeth Olaba.
Oh, very
good.
And
the late Dana Muke and Mike Kosgei were a year ahead of us.
Very good.
So
and on the 15th, Saturday, there is the 5th AK track and field in Gusii. Yes. And on Sunday is the Eldoret City Marathon. Yes. You're aware of that?
Yeah.
And of course, the EPL and the local league continues. And in the EPL, are you a follower of English football? Are you a football fan?
I'm a Manchester United fan. But this year we
look, see what we have.
Yeah, this year we say it in low tones because they're not doing well at all.
So this is what we have over the weekend.
Okay.
The Aston Villa
we have Aston
versus
Villa,
Newcastle. Southampton versus Crystal Palace. Everton, Fulham, Tottenham.
Which do you think is a big
Bournemouth.
one for you there? There's another page coming up. Oh, there, Man City. Oh, no, that's
Man City.
Leicester. That's
The
on Saturday.
Well, but United is playing Nottingham Forest on Sunday, so we wish you luck. And how about the local scene?
The way they are playing this season, actually they're getting beaten by the small teams, and they try even better with the big teams. It's unpredictable. It's not their year.
All right. And on the local scene, who do you support?
Local scene, I support breweries.
Breweries, Tusker.
The Tusker.
Okay, yeah. So Tusker is.
And Tusker is actually improving now.
Tusker is playing. Who are they playing over the weekend?
I support Tusker and KCB now.
And KCB.
are coming
KCB
up,
is playing
and
Wazito.
yeah.
Well, gentlemen, looks like we've run out of time.
Okay.
I must thank you for braving and leaving the funeral arrangements to just come and be with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And pass our sincere condolences to the family from this team at the Scoreboard.
Thank you. And we take this opportunity on behalf of all the volleyball people to pass our sincere condolences to the family of Mr. Kioni. He gave his life for the sport, and we pray that God may give them strength to sustain this very indelible heat that they got, this loss of theirs. And at the same time, we also thank you for this opportunity, and we pray that after the funeral, we can be able to go back to normal.
Yes, and hopefully we'll host you when you're the president of the Kenya Volleyball Federation.
Thank you.
Thank you, my good friend,
Wilfred
and viewers. We have come to close. You know, when good things are happening, time really moves fast. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you right here next week on Thursday on The Scoreboard. Have a good evening.